going on? Cover One crew. Chris Chow's back again for another fabulous episode of Fantasy Football Cover One style. And we are, of course, diving into start sit for week number 6 of the NFL season. It is flying by. We got some great contests this weekend, especially the Bills and the Chiefs. A 13-second redemption is what I'm calling it. I know everybody's over the 13 seconds, but I am not. I'm still mad and frustrated. 13 seconds, man. You couldn't give me 13 seconds. Okay, I digress. We got to move on. But nevertheless, do me that favor. Smash that like button. I'll wait. See, it's not that hard. Just hit that like button for me. It grows this channel that much more, and you got to love it. So you know what? Let's dive into this week's edition of Start Sit for week number 6. So like I've been mentioning to all you fantasy managers, it is not over until the fat lady sings and the season is completely done. Even if you are like 1-5 or 1-4, it does not matter. You can come back. Believe you me. Make some trades. Hit the waivers. I told y'all, follow my advice, and we will get through this thing. We're in it together. No kidding. We got some bye-week troubles this week. It is the Lions, the Texans, the Raiders, and the Titans all on the bye this week. So this is where it starts. This is where you can recover on those teams that are undefeated or only have one loss. They're going to have some bye-week troubles as well. So let's dive into those. Arizona Cardinals, and Kyler Murray, low-risk play against these Seahawks. Seahawks have been playing well offensively, and they're going to make it a shootout likely every single week, but that defense is, very much porous. Kyler Murray, easy start, man. Eno Benjamin, he gets a start because James Conner is out. All the James Conner owners, hope y'all listen, man, and grabbed Eno off that waiver wire. He is a low-risk play for me versus the Seattle Seahawks, who can't stop a cold on the ground. Eno should be able to find lanes to gallop through, I should say. But Eno is a definite start for me this week. Marquise Hollywood, man, he is just killing it. Almost 79 points. He's killing it. What can you say? Okay, again, I'm type of guy, if I'm wrong, I'm going to say I'm wrong. I didn't expect this type of productivity from Hollywood in Arizona. I eat it. I eat crow whenever I'm wrong, and on that one I ate. So now he is that low-risk play for me basically every week. All us D-Hop owners that, stashed him on our bench. One more week, baby, and we get D-Hop back. And you got to love that because that's going to be some good stuff. AJ Green, Rondale Moore, both high-risk plays for me. I am not starting either one of these gentlemen, even against the Seattle Seahawks. Even if they do anything on the field, that's great. I'm not even trusting it because Cliff Kingsbury just has a problem instituting extra passes going to other wide receivers, except for Zach Ertz. He is an easy play, low-risk play for me. 3 boom games already for a Zach Ertz, and I foresee another one coming this week. Potential touchdown for the great tight end. The Atlanta Falcons, the Dirty Birds, going up against the San Francisco 49ers. This has disaster written all over it. Marcus Mariota, high-risk play. I am not touching him this week. Tyler Algier, he is taking over the bulk load of the carries. Everyone thought maybe Caleb Huntley would get some touches. He got a few, but it is going to be Algier in this backfield again this week. He's got a low floor against this 49ers defense that is extremely stout in that front 7. I don't foresee a lot of holes opening up for Algier. So if you have other options, definitely looking the other way. I would not, I caution starting him unless you really have no other choice. Then I understand. Drake London is that play. He is a mid-risk level play, and there's a little bit of upside here. I almost had him at a high risk because there is the mid-level risk this week because San Francisco has lost some defensive backs to injury. So this is a big news day for the Atlanta Falcons that could potentially get some points in this respect for their pass catchers, Drake London and Kyle Pitts. We have to say, okay, potentially garbage time productivity is going to be your favorite here. So we're going to say likely you're going to be biting your nails until the fourth quarter, and then maybe Drake London and Kyle Pitts will, at least repay you with all that stress and sweat that you were put through that entire contest. But Pitts, if he plays, you're definitely starting him. Drake London, I would like to look in another direction, but I know a lot of y'all have bye week troubles and got to play a Drake London. So if that's the case, it is a mid-level risk for me. It's got some risk to it, and you're going to be likely waiting till garbage time productivity. Those Baltimore Ravens traveling to the New York Giants, 3-2 and 4-1 respectively for these clubs. Lamar Jackson, stud start every single week. He's got 5 boom games in 5 weeks. We know, the list of boom quarterbacks is like 6 to have every single game so far this season. It's Mahomes, Lamar, Allen, Joe Burrow, and there's another one in there as well. But, I mean, it's Jalen Hurts. So, I mean, there's not a lot of quarterbacks that have hit every single week. Lamar is definitely one of them. You obviously firing up. But against the Giants defense that can be gashed, they're okay. They're not a bad D whatsoever. That you saw last week against the Green Bay Packers, they were able to adjust in that second half, and they did pretty good. But I think Lamar has a very good day this week. Above 20 points once again. I do see it from Lamar Jackson. J.K. Dobbins, I'm giving him a low risk. He is a start for me this week as well. He kind of fell off last week. He didn't run the ball as efficiently as we wanted to see. I think they get back to it this week. JK is a low-risk play. I do foresee him getting above that 10-point threshold that we all covet. Devin Duvernay is your number one wide receiver now that Rashad Bateman has been ruled out with that injury again this week, and Duvernay is that guy. He was being targeted last week, and he was coming down with the ball. I totally foresee these Baltimore Ravens to continue to feed Duvernay and Mark Andrews, who was also that stud start every single week. You're never benching that man. But Duvernay, if you got him in your lineups, again, I told y'all last week, fire him up. Telling you once again, you're firing up a Devin Duvernay versus these New York football Giants, man. The Buffalo Bills, baby Bills Mafia, we get 13-second redemption. Like I said, I'm going to keep harping on this because, you know, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of Patrick Mahomes. It is Josh Allen time. This Buffalo Bills team is ready to go. Josh Allen stud start, like I said, 5 boom games already in 5 weeks. He is just a dynamo on this field. You know, Devin Singletary, he has done more than enough on this field to warrant a play this week as well. The Kansas City Chiefs defense is not great overall, but that front seven is still very stout, so I don't expect a whole heavy set of running plays again this week, but Devin could get a lot of PPR work depending on how this Chiefs defense does play the Bills. Allen has been very good at taking what the defense gives him, and if they're going to play deep all game long to cover those deep shots with Gabe and Diggs, then we could see Devin Singletary definitely eat up some points in that PPR game. James Cook is still, you know, on your bench at this point, but his floor is climbing. Right now, I got him as a low floor play. He is only going to get sprinkled in garbage time or when, you know, they need to spell a Devin Singletary. His run was fabulous last week. We need to see more of that to trust it, but it is coming. By the time we hit about week 10, we could suggest that James Cook could be a flex play for y'all if you're going to be that patient all the way to week 10. Stephon Diggs is a stud start this week, as is Gabriel Davis. Both of them, I don't think I've had 2 wide receiver stud starts on the same team so far this season. This is the week. This is the week that Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis both will eat and feast on this secondary that is decimated with injuries in Kansas City. Both teams are 4-1 looking for the victory. They're going to get Isaiah McKenzie back, so he'll get some sprinkles as well of target share. He's got a mid-level risk play for me. I don't hate it in the flex, but I do believe they're going to try to force feed Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis in this contest because of the lack of coverage the Chiefs do have. Dawson Knox coming back from that injury. He's a high risk. I mean, we got to see him get in that end zone. He's been the forgotten man in this offense this season. They don't utilize the tight end position in the pass game as much as they did last year, so I would move on from Dawson Knox this week and not shoot up his services, man. The Carolina Panthers taking their talents, their lack of talents, I should say, to the LA Rams, who have been struggling as well. PJ Walker is your starting quarterback. The Bake Show is now Bake Sale, Bake injured because they closed up shop. Baker Mayfield, he needs to, you know, figure some stuff out. And PJ Walker, they fired Matt Rule. Everything in Carolina is in disarray. We could see this team completely dismantled by the trade deadline, seeing all these players gone to another club as they look to rebuild for the following season. But, I mean, PJ Walker, obviously high risk. He does give you a rushing upside, but nobody's playing him this week. You got to see what they're going to do. CMC is a low-risk play every week, even against the LA Rams. They have been struggling on D of late, so you can't hate CMC again this week. DJ Moore, I mean, low upside again this week. What else can I tell y'all? It's just not enough, efficiency in this offense to promote playing a DJ Moore. 38 points in 5 weeks. You got to be kidding me. DJ Moore, all the truthers I was out on DJ Moore this season, and I mean, all the truthers had me, wanted to, crucify me, so to speak, in that respect of my opinion, but DJ Moore is not a play for me this week. Robbie Anderson is dealing with a sick illness, so I mean, he is a sick risk this week as well. Shai Smith and Ian Thomas, both high-level risk plays with PJ Walker. The only caveat you're going to say is that PJ can throw the ball deep downfield with an arm, but there's not a lot to like in Carolina versus the LA Rams. Cincinnati Bengals against the New Orleans Saints up in the Bayou. Joey B, Joe Burrow, stud start once again. He is one of those quarterbacks that has been a boom hit every single week so far this season. He will do it again. He just crossed the 100-point threshold this past week, and he will do it again. The Saints are injured. They're struggling overall. The defense is good, but they're struggling. They're giving up big plays. We saw what Geno was able to do last week, and you got to believe that Joe Burrow and company are going to figure this out again. We're going to say something of a homecoming college-wise for Jamar Chase. Stud start, baby. This is what he wants to do. He wants to put on a show in front of his former college fans in that fan base, so I believe Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase will light up the score sheet. It's been a while. Only 2 boom games for Jamar Chase. They struggled to find the deep shots last week. That offensive line is not blocking the way they should. This is the week I do believe that they're going to figure it out a little bit more, I should say. But Joe Mixon, low-risk play once again for me. He's going to run the ball, do what he does, likely find the end zone to give you that point productivity. Here's where it gets a little bit, sketchy for me is the T. Higgins trust. He went out of that contest last week and killed everybody's fantasy option because he didn't give you any point productivity. Injury risk play this week for me. If I am a betting man, you wait obviously till Sunday. If he plays, it's tough to say, man. I know you draft your studs to play them, and if you have no other options, then do that. I would err on the side of caution just a little bit if they are humming and hawing his services this week and leave him on the bench because you don't want to deal with that goose egg again in your stat sheet, in your stat line for your fantasy club. Tyler Boyd would get the advantage in this game if Higgins does sit, so that's why I got him as a potential low-risk start this week. So if Higgins is not going to go, I'm firing up Tyler Boyd, but the caveat again is they could, use Higgins as that decoy to kind of give him the day off in-game action. Just give him some cardio as he's running up and down the field, but Tyler Boyd could see a lot of targets this week. No kidding. TD upside does go to Hayden Hurst. Once again, he's been a very consistent, reliable tight end in fantasy. It's hard to find those guys this year, man. The Cleveland Browns playing up against those New England Patriots. Patriots look a little better than everybody had anticipated, including myself. But these Cleveland Browns, Jacoby Brissett, mid-level risk. Can you believe Jacoby's got 4 boom games this year? 4! He's only missed on 1 out of 5. That is a great percentage of boom for Jacoby Brissett. It's just not high-end. The boom rates are 15% threshold or 15-point threshold for quarterbacks. Once they hit the 15 points, that's considered a boom game. If you guys do not know, Jacoby has 4 of those games above 15. Nothing really over 20 except for 1 or 2, if I'm not mistaken. So he is hard to trust, but he gives you a decent floor if you're hurting for quarterbacks. Jacoby is a decent streaming option. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Chubb gets a stud start while Kareem gets a mid-level risk against the Patriots because the defense has played decently well. They got that new rookie corner, Jones. He is playing lights-out football, so they could and they should once again be dictated in this offense by the ground game. Nick Chubb has been a revelation once again this season. I was never out on Nick Chubb. All y'all that said these two could not coexist in the same offensive backfield, shame on you because I've been saying it for like 4 years, man. They both these guys can play in this backfield together. 100 points and 60 points respectively for both men. Both of them are fire-up starts for me this week, even though Kareem Hunt does give you the mid-level risk in this contest. I'm definitely firing up Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Low-risk play for Amari Cooper this week. Once again, I think he finds his way to get open and give you a decent stat line this week. Touchdown upside is definitely always here for an Amari Cooper, even if he goes for like 565 and scores that 1 touchdown. That's a very good fantasy day. Peoples, Jones, and Bell, you're not trusting this week. High-level risks where a David Njoku, I think, has got that TD level upside again on him this week. They may utilize him in this contest versus the New England Patriots to kind of spread them out a little bit on defense, but the Cleveland Browns versus the New England Patriots shouldn't be as bad as a lot of people do think. The Dallas Cowboys on Sunday Night Football going up against the Philadelphia Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly. The only undefeated team left in the NFL, 5-0, taking on the 4-1 Cowboys. This should be a dandy as well. I am so excited for this. Cooper Rush likely going to start again, even though Dak Prescott has, received the questionable tag for his thumb. But you can't say he's going to play in this game. There's no way in hell Dak Prescott is throwing the ball. We saw what happened to Russell Wilson the previous season with basically the same thumb injury. He's not playing this week. I would bet money that he won't play. If he does, then okay, fine, I'll eat those words. But you're likely going with Cooper Rush, and he's got a high-level risk against a Philly defense. that has been extremely sound this season. Zeke Elliott, once again, I almost want to have him as a high risk, but he does have low upside. You have to play him where you have lack of running back talent, but I am definitely looking in a different direction for Zeke Elliott this week. If you have other options, keep Zeke on the bench, and you're going to start up a Tony Pollard. I do believe the game plan here is going to be speed. They're going to want to, Zeke is going to get his touches. I'm not saying he's not. He's going to be the bruiser, try to wear down that front line where Pollard will get the change of pace and utilize his speed and try to break free of this Eagles defense that has been very good up front. So Tony Pollard is the low-risk play. 3 boom games so far this season for a Tony Pollard. We're 1 for Zeke only right now, respectively for him, but it has not looked great for Zeke. He looks like he's getting to the wash level. You're in the washer, you're almost out of there and put in the dryer, and that's it, man. Hang you up to dry, you're done. CeeDee Lamb, he does pop up on the injury risk as well late on Friday with a hip injury. No indication that he isn't going to play in this game, but going up against guys like Slay and Bradbury, that is a very difficult task in itself. Nevertheless, especially with Cooper Rush throwing you the ball, cautionary start for a CeeDee Lamb. You got to play him. I understand where his talent is. He could hit you a touchdown any given moment, but put the mid-level risk on him because you got to hedge your bet somewhere else to get the higher upside, because it could be a very long day for a CeeDee Lamb, especially if he is hurting with a hip injury. Noah Brown, Michael Gallup, high risk for Brown, low mid-level risk for Michael Gallup, And I mean, you got to find some secondary pieces in this offense to move the ball because this Eagles defense has been very good. Dalton Schultz, he's still on the injury report with that knee. He wasn't targeted last week. Keep Dalton on that bench until we see that he's fully healthy, because not even seeing a target last week, he killed a lot of people. There's no reason for him to be playing right now. The Cowboys need to rest this man. Rest up that knee. I don't like it whatsoever. Eagles have the advantage in health at this point for Sunday Night Football. The Denver Broncos, let's ride with Russell Wilson. Monday Night Football, again, why are we being treated like this with primetime games with the Broncos? NFL already, man. Get these games out of here. Flex something else in, because we've had enough. We've seen more than enough of Russell Wilson in this crappy Denver offense right now. No disrespect. It's just, it is what it is. Going up against Chargers, obviously. Russell Wilson, man. Russell Wilson, low upside again. He has not performed well. He's missing his wide receivers. He's not reading the field. He doesn't look the same Russ anymore. He looks cooked. I don't know what it is. He's got to figure something out, but I really don't foresee it against the LA Chargers, who are starting to climb back to decent levels of health. Melvin Gordon does get a low risk because they will likely lean on that ground game, even though Melvin is a questionable tag with a neck and rib injury. He's likely going to play in this contest. Mike Boone does get some low upside, even though he's questionable with a foot injury. Maybe we see some Lat Murray in this contest. I still want to see if they're going to utilize Lat Murray on the field before we can swap him out for Mike Boone. But I mean, Cortland Sutton, he does get the low risk. He's the only play that every single week that you can trust at decent levels to gain productivity from Russell Wilson. In this contest, the Chargers secondary has not been good this season. They paid out Brinks trucks of money to get his services, and he has not been a good player consistently on the field. J.C. Jackson and company, Derwin James, they have been okay, not great, so there should be opportunities for Cortland Sutton to find ways to gash this secondary. Jerry Jeudy, again, mid-level risk. You're not getting excited when you do this. At this point, I'm going to put Jerry Jeudy on my bench. I'm not trusting it either. Until this Denver Broncos offense can show me something that is better in the pass game, I'm going to hedge my bets elsewhere. Hamler is not a start as well, high risk, where you got Eric Schubert, the tight end. He has basically overtaken Albert O at this point. He's almost got 20 points, still not fantasy viable, but Russell Wilson has been looking to his direction more often than not, so we'll see if this tight end position does get sorted out for these Denver Broncos with Schubert at the helm. The Green Bay Packers taking their talents from London back to Green Bay, take on those New York Jets that are improving, looking very sharp, in matter of fact, on both sides of the ball, but this is a stud start for Aaron Rodgers. He is getting angry, man, because things are not going his way. Rumor has it this is going to be his last season. He's likely going to retire after the year. Again, we hear this every single year from an Aaron Rodgers. Just came out again. Stud start, man, against these New York Jets who are looking good on the defensive side. Sauce Gardner is going to shut down whichever receiver he's on, so Aaron Rodgers is going to have to look in another direction. They're going to lean on that ground attack once again. Aaron Jones, low-risk play for me. He's killing it on the field where A.J. Dillon has become a problem for a lot of you managers. Mid-level risk I'm going to give again this week for for an A.J. Dillon, because I do believe they're going to find ways to get into the red zone, and I do believe they're going to try to pound the rock with an A.J. Dillon. I think A.J. Dillon does find his way to get back into the end zone, at least this week, to get you that touchdown where Romeo Doubs, Allen Lazard, and Randall Cobb comes back from the dead and finds fantasy viability. Once again, Aaron Rodgers looking for any form of chemistry to move this offense down the field, as they looked pretty bad and figured out in the second half versus the New York Giants last week. Romeo Doubs, mid-level risk. I may not play him this week. I think I'm going to sit him this week where Allen Lazard gets the low-risk play for me. He has 3 boom games already in 5 weeks. This is the trusted commodity for an Aaron Rodgers at this point. Almost 50 points for Allen Lazard. You're likely going to get at least 5 targets and potentially a touchdown red zone opportunity for Lazard. I'm definitely firing him up. Randall Cobb is a little bit of a mid-risk play with a little bit more, lower floor, because if Aaron Rodgers does not look in his direction, it's going to be a goose egg. But if you're stuck with bye week troubles, Randall Cobb is is a decent fill-in, I should say. Robert Tonyan, high-risk play. I'm not promoting you until I see more on the field, sir. I just cannot do it. The Indianapolis Colts look like hot garbage as well. And I mean, what else can you say, man? Versus the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are stumbling as well. Matt Ryan, extremely high-risk level play for me. I will not do it. They looked terrible last week. Yes, they got extra rest, but everything looks, discombobulated on this offense. You can't trust any of it. Right now, Jonathan Taylor still draws the questionable tag with the ankle injury, which caused him to miss last week's contest. They're saying there's a good chance he could suit up in this game. If JT plays, you're starting him, regardless of what anybody else tells you. It is an injury risk level play, but this is why you drafted him. If he's going to play, you got to suit up and definitely hope for the best. Nyheim Hines is a high-risk play. He's still dealing with that concussion. Could sit out this week if he is not cleared, but I will not start or play a Nyheim Hines whatsoever. Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce both get low-risk plays. Even though Matt Ryan does have a high-risk play, he will be able to at least give the wide receiver something for us to smile about. And I do believe that he's going to be able to force-feed both these individuals versus the Jacksonville Jaguars defense that is kind of falling back down to earth over the last couple weeks, so you can't hate that. Paris Campbell, Mo Alley Cox, you're not looking in this direction because it is Mo Cox, Mo problems. I use that a lot, but it is problems. What can you say? I'm not touching these individuals in this contest. Those Jacksonville Jaguars going up against the Indianapolis Colts in this next one. Trevor Lawrence, you're starting to fade, man. You're starting to fade down my list. I don't like it. You look like a rookie again. These past couple weeks, you're not reading the field. You're forcing the ball. Your passes are off. I don't know what it is you're doing. That interception you threw last week was like Bush League. That's something you see high school dudes do, man. What are you doing, Trevor Lawrence? But I mean, mid-level risk against the Colts defense that is still dealing with some levels of injury. But we need to see how these Jaguars are going to bounce back. They typically play the Colts very, very well. So you got to say Trevor Lawrence at least, at minimum, 15 points. Give him something of a decent bounce-back game. James Robinson is starting to fade in this backfield in terms of touches and percentages on the field. Now we got Travis Etienne, my guy, man. He's starting to take some of that volume away from James Robinson, and I'm all for it. Give Travis the ball. He looked very good last week in that expanded role in both the pass and the run games. This week, again, we should see a good level dose of Travis Etienne, and hopefully he finds his way into that end zone, because then I'll be smiling. Christian Kirk, he's been fading also these past couple weeks due to the poor play of a Trevor Lawrence. This is the week he gets back to the good books. I'm telling y'all, unless they're going to play Steph Gilmore on him a lot, but I don't see that. I think Steph's going to rotate the field a little bit more. Christian Kirk should be able to at least find his way back to decent levels of fantasy production. He's been slumping the last couple weeks and crippling your fantasy team. Zay Jones and Marvin Jones, the Jones brothers. It's a crapshoot, man. They're both basically even in points, 35-5 and 35-8. So, I mean, what are you going to do here as a fantasy owner? Can you fire up either one of these gentlemen right now based on the fact that Zay Jones still dealing with that injury, even though he played last week? Let's default to Marvin Jones. If you got to play one of these individuals, I'm going Marvin Jones this week. Evan Ingram is one of these guys. He repaid me what I said last week. I said he had some decent level upside. He got you at least, 9 points for tight ends that can barely get you 5. That's a good play. That's a great play for you this week. Evan Ingram, once again, does possess TD upside, and he is a player in this offense that they will likely utilize a lot more. Definitely, if you have him and you have no other options, again, I'm definitely firing up. And Evan Ingram, the Kansas City Chiefs, boo the Chiefs, going up against the Buffalo Bills in Arrowhead. This is going to be a dandy, man. I cannot wait for this contest. Pains me to say it, Patrick Mahomes, even going up against our defense, stud start, man. He is definitely one of those quarterbacks that you have to play every week, and he's likely going to boom once again because of how Josh Allen plays football, because of how this Buffalo Bills offense is moving the football. Patrick Mahomes is going to have to go score for score. So that's good news for us fantasy owners who have him. Bad news for us Bills Mafia fans because you know he's never going to be out of a contest. Stud start play for a Patrick Mahomes. I don't think, even though the pass rush from the Bills is going to do wonders against him, it's Patrick Mahomes. He finds ways. I don't even know what he does, and he's got a horseshoe up his butt, man, for some of the plays that he makes. I'm telling y'all, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a low-risk play. I think, again, 4 boom games out of 5 weeks. What else can you say about Clyde Edwards-Helaire? He is definitely back to being in the good graces. 74 points. They're going to have to utilize him in this pass game, and the Buffalo Bills may allow him to roam a little bit free in this out of the backfield in the pass game. They're going to lock up Travis Kelce. That's job number 1. They're going to try their best, but even then, Travis Kelce still is a stud start every single week. The man is just a cyborg. He's unguardable, and he's going to make plays, okay? 4 TDs last week. The Vegas Raiders, I don't even know what y'all were thinking, man. Put everybody on the man and let someone else beat you. That's the scheme you got to be playing against these Chiefs. Juju high risk, McCole Hardman high risk, Marquez Valdez-Scantling I'm giving a mid-level risk. I'm not starting any one of these guys against the Buffalo Bills. I don't even care. Do not do it. Do not think that anything good is going to happen. Even if they hit, I don't want any part of it because it's too risky. It's too risky, and I can't take it anymore. Patrick Mahomes got to pass to somebody, though, right? So, man, that's why I got the mid-level risk to Valdez-Scantling because they're going to try some deep shots to kill off, the Bills' pressure. So I think it goes in that direction. But stud starts Mahomes, CEH, and Travis Kelce in a game that should see a lot of points on the scoreboard. The Los Angeles Chargers bolt up going up against those Denver Broncos on Monday Night Football. I still got a mid-level risk on Justin Herbert. Those ribs are not right, and he's showing it on the field. He's not putting up the same level of points and productivity that we are used to from a Justin Herbert, but he is a mid-level risk. You got him. You got to play him. I completely understand stud players. You got to play him. Austin Eckler does get the stud start of the week. He is back. He is showing that he is electric, and he is wanting to be utilized in this offense, and the coaching staff is listening. They are giving it to him. Stud start for Austin Eckler. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Joshua Palmer. Keenan Allen does get the injury risk for me. I caution that one, man. Even if he does suit up, I don't like it. I would want to wait one more week, even though you're dying for Keenan Allen to get back on the field. I get that. He is one of the guys that is a PPR freak. What if he pulls lame on that hammy again in that contest? He's going to pull a T. Higgins for y'all. Cautionary play. If you have no choice, I get it, but I would likely like to see Keenan on the bench this week until we see if he's fully healthy and recovered from that hamstring injury. If he doesn't play, we're almost hoping he doesn't play to make it easier of a decision for that start-sit play. Mike Williams, he is the low-risk play, even with a Keenan Allen on the field. It's just going to draw coverage away from his side, and Justin Herbert is going to find him again. Josh Palmer does get the high-risk level play now that Keenan is likely to return. Target share is going to be far and few between. 4 to 6 targets is highly unlikely. You're more looking at 2 to 4 for a Joshua Palmer every week. The great play of the week does go to Gerald Everett once again. He did slump a little bit last week, but now he's going to come back, and I believe touchdown is coming for this tight end, Gerald Everett. And I mean, he's been so consistent. You can't hate him. 3 booms in this season, 41 points. You got to love Gerald Everett against this Broncos defense that does not look great overall. The LA Rams, playing these Carolina Panthers. And I mean, I stumbled there because I don't know. This game doesn't excite me. I mean, mid-level risk for the Matthew Stafford. This offense looks so bad. They've scored less points than the Bears. I mean, it's bad. 80 points so far for the defending Super Bowl champions. They just don't look good. Now we got a problem with Cam Akers. He's out on a personal note, hearing rumors that he wants out of LA. So Darrell Henderson is your guy. This is good news for anybody that has Darrell Henderson, because when he is given volume, he usually does produce. Carolina does have a good defense overall, but Darrell Henderson will have a very good day. They're going to lean on his services a lot, where Matthew Stafford has not looked good. He's looked like doo-doo, man. And I mean, I am not playing Matthew Stafford. Put him on the bench until further notice. But Cooper Kupp still gets a stud start, even though he is questionable with a foot injury. He's going to play. We know this. Every single game, 5 games, booms for Cooper Kupp. He's Mr. Automatic. Allen Robinson, high risk. Keep that man on the bench. He should be on the waiver actually right now anyway. You're not playing him. Ben Skoranek, I mean, hopefully I didn't butcher that, but mid-level risk. He's starting to pick up some PPR upside at this point. Not enough to start right now, but he does possess mid-level levels of risk. Tyler Higbee is a low-risk play. He's been a very reliable tight end in the absence of any other secondary wide receiver piece for these LA Rams. So Higbee, I'm definitely firing up as well in this contest. The Miami Dolphins going to Minnesota, or facing Minnesota, I should say. Teddy Bridgewater, he gets the revenge game upside of the week for me. I mean, it's his former club. He's going to want to show it, but there is a caveat. He may not clear concussion protocol, and they're likely going to play Skylar. I'm putting in Teddy because I want to see him play against his former team. If he does not play, Skylar Thompson is a quarterback, and this entire offense, once again, gets a downgrade overall. Chase Edmonds will give the low risk this week because Raheem Mostert is dealing with an injury and may not suit up in this contest. He's got a knee injury, which has always hampered him throughout his entire career, so Chase Edmonds would get a level uptick and go low risk, and you can definitely trust the fact that they will at least try to run the ball a lot with an Edmonds on the field. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle with a Teddy Bridgewater would both get low risk plays for me. If it is Skylar Murray, that gets downgraded to a mid-level risk. We saw what happened with Jalen Waddle last week. He was basically invisible because Thompson cannot find any of these wide receivers. They would definitely drop down to mid-level risks, and it's a definite. It sucks because you got to play them. But unless you have better options and Skylar's playing, then maybe you put him on your bench. But it's Tyreek, it's Waddle. You got to suit him up in hopes that they're going to break free themselves and find the end zone. Cedric Wilson, Mike Gesicki, you're not even looking in their directions. High-risk plays. You do not start these individuals. Those Minnesota Vikings taking travel to Miami. Kirk Cousins, Mr. No Clutch. He's looking terrible. I don't know what is going on with him this season. You hear him on the mic dub. He's like, gosh darn it. He's not happy, man, right now. Mid-level risk play. I mean, I got faith in a Kirk Cousins. I do. I think he's a good quarterback. He gives you enough, fantasy upside to give you the, 20 to 25 points a week because you got guys like Justin Jefferson on the field. JJ does get a stud start, and Dalvin Cook gets low-risk play for me. Both should play very well against a Miami Dolphins defense that is going to struggle without an offense that can move the ball. By the time we get into the third quarter, if Skylar Thompson is a quarterback, you're going to see this Miami Dolphins defense completely gassed, and they're going to open up lanes for all these players to eat. Even Adam Thielen gets a low-risk play for me. Fire up Adam Thielen in this against this defense. In Miami, KJ Osborne, mid-level risk, and Irv Smith, I am not trusting. So Osborne and Irv Smith, keep them on your bench. I don't like it whatsoever. Fire up Adam Thielen, JJ, and Dalvin Cook, and I would definitely look in another direction for a Kirk Cousins. The New England Patriots taking travel to Cleveland. Bailey, Zappy. I mean, we could see Mac Money Jones play. Mac Money Jones! We could see him play this week. I don't know if it's going to happen. They're kind of pushing the envelope. I think it's going to be Zappy this week again. High-risk play for him. But the caveat we love to see, I mean, it comes at the expense of Damian Harris. But Ramondre Stevenson does get the start. He's a stud start for me this week as well against the Cleveland Browns, who are not going to have Jadeveon Clowney, not going to have Denzel Ward. So this could be very positive for a Ramondre Stevenson. Bill Belichick has no choice but to load up the carries and the touches for Ramondre. He is going to have a monster week, no kidding. Jacoby Myers is now back to low-risk level plays for me. I will fire up Jacoby Myers against these Cleveland Browns. He's just looking good on the field. They're finding ways to get him the ball, and he's producing on this field. I wish I could say the same about Nelson Aguilar, Devontae Parker, both high risks, along with a Hunter Henry high risk. Caveat play is Tyquan Thornton. He is back from injury, and he may start in place of a Devontae Parker or Nelson Aguilar and get you those points. So if he does hit, it may be interesting before Sunday. Go and get Tyquan on your bench if you have room, just in case he pops this week, and then you found yourself another wide receiver to utilize in fantasy football. The New Orleans Saints playing up against those Cincinnati Bengals. These guys are a hot mess with injury. Michael Thomas out. Jarvis Landry out. Jameis Winston questionable but likely going to be out. Chris Olave questionable with a concussion. This is all bad news for fantasy football owners, especially those who would have wanted to play Chris Olave. This is a tough one. If he does suit up, you obviously are playing Chris Olave with bells on, because he's going to likely have a very good contest just because of target share alone. Andy Dalton has been pegged already to start, even though they do got Jameis Winston as the questionable. They're saying Andy is going to play. Alvin Kamara gets back to good books in this last week. He looked absolutely phenomenal. He gets a low-risk play for me this week. Obviously, you're starting him, but he's going to do very well once again against the Bengals defense that is likely going to get gashed just a little bit by an Alvin Kamara. Marquise Callaway and Traquan Smith, I'm looking in other directions. I just don't think there's enough going to be enough volume for an Andy Dalton to support these wide receivers. But who are you playing this week? Once again, Taysom Hill. Fire up Taysom Hill with everything you have inside, because again, if all these injuries do come to pass, if Chris Olave doesn't play and it is Callaway and Smith as your 1-2 wide receivers, they're going to be running the ball a ton with a Taysom Hill, and he'll likely give you another very high score. 35 points from this man last week. God, you're killing me, Taysom. You're killing me, brother. I don't know what else to say. New York Football Giants taking on the Baltimore Ravens. Daniel Jones, Daniel Pennies. He's keeping this offense moving. What can you say? Danny Nichols. Well, that's what we're upgrading his nickname. Danny Nichols now. He's not Danny Dimes anymore for me. Saquon is that stud start play for me every single week. Again, boom. He has 5 boom games in 5 weeks. He is back better than ever. You got to love it. Daniel Jones, I don't hate this play if you have him and are streaming quarterbacks. I don't hate starting Daniel Jones this week because he is giving you enough opportunity to get that fantasy production. He's been reliable and efficient. He's not turning the ball over. That's the biggest difference in Daniel Jones this season over all the others. He is not turning the ball over as much as we saw in the past. So you can definitely trust him with a decent floor if you're struggling for a quarterback position. Darius Slayton gets a low-risk play for me. I do not care what this depth chart says, okay? They got him behind Richie James. Darius Slayton's got chemistry with Daniel Jones. I said it last week. If Slayton is playing, he's got chemistry and there's good upside for him. Now he gets a low-risk play because the target share is going to come his way. The problem with Slayton was always drop passes and injuries. He looked decent last week, and I do foresee that happening once again. He came back last week. He got a boom, and that's what you got to say. Wan'Dale Robinson potentially could suit up in this contest where Kadarius Toney, Kenny Golladay are not suiting up. If Wan'Dale does play, this is very good news for Darius Slayton as well. More receiving options to pull coverage from his side, but I think Slayton is the play at the wide receiver position. Daniel Bellinger, the tight end, I like him. What can I say? He's starting to turn my head. A couple weeks back, I was telling you guys that he was one guy you had to look at, and he's repaying you, man. 27 points since his role has increased. I like him. I want to see a little bit more before you can start him and trust him, but I like him. He's definitely on the watch list for me at this point. The New York Jets taking their travels to Wisconsin to face the Green Bay Packers. Oh, this is going to be an interesting one. I want to see, this is kind of a test for me for this New York Jets team. They're running the ball very well. Breece Hall looks like a machine. They're mixing it up with Michael Carter at that 1-2 punch. We know this was going to be the case, but look at these stats, man. 73.3 for Breece. You got 46.3 for Michael Carter. How can you hate that level of productivity? They're utilizing this ground game very well. It's a very good MO for this scheme. Run the ball, set up the play action pass, and Zach Wilson is starting to flourish. He's starting to figure things out. You got to like what you see from Zach Wilson. I'm giving a mid-level risk because it is a road game. It is in Green Bay. Hostile environment. We're going to see how this is going to happen. This one hurts. This one hurts a lot for me because I almost had a high-level risk for a Garrett Wilson. I had to bite, and I gave him mid-level. This is the last week I'm giving you mid-level risk, Garrett, but he's on my bench this week. I can't trust it. I'm benching Garrett Wilson, even with all the bye week troubles we have. I just cannot do it. I cannot think I'm going to sit here and watch another 4.5 to 6.5 point showing from one of the better wide receivers that could potentially be in this league. Zach Wilson and him just don't have chemistry right now. It's not working. You got to keep him on the bench. If he hits, that's great. It's going to suck looking at the points on the bench, but I'm definitely keeping him on my bench this week. Same goes for Elijah Moore. High-risk level play. There's not enough going to his direction right now. They're not entrusting him either. Don't like it whatsoever. And then low upside for a Corey Davis. So I'm hoping the fact goes... out of all these three wide receivers. I'm trying to think this through as we're talking because I said bench, but you got to start one of them, right? You got to think about one of them. Maybe Corey Davis is the guy with the low upside that you're going to trust this week. Talking myself out of playing, trying to talk myself into playing Garrett Wilson, but I just can't do it. I'm passing for all three of these wide receivers this week. I don't like it whatsoever. I think they're going to try to run the ball a lot again this week, and if you get a touchdown, it might get, maybe 3 receptions and a touchdown. I don't like it whatsoever. Tyler Conklin, he failed us last week. He's back on the high risk because Zach Wilson just not feeding it. So we got to see what this offense is going to do versus Green Bay Packers team. But I caution it outside of the running backs to fire up Breece Hall. I may, if you're in a pinch, fine, let's fire up Garrett Wilson, but I don't like it whatsoever. I'm not doing it. I'll leave that one up to you guys. Philadelphia Eagles going to Dallas, or playing Dallas on Sunday Night Football in Philly. Jalen Hurts, stud start again, 5 boom games in a row. This offense looks good. They're running the ball. They're doing everything right. Yes, last week did look a little bit ugly. They're going to fix their troubles this week. They're going to get back to the good grace of how they are moving the ball. Run the damn ball, man. Miles Sanders, he is a mid-level risk because of lack of trust for me for this coaching staff. I just can't trust it, man. Why aren't you running the ball? You guys went away from it last week against the Cardinals. You should have been running up the middle, up the sides, and you guys would have found the play action pass. You never found it. I didn't like it whatsoever. Game plan was shoddy at best. A.J. Brown didn't even touch the ball after that first drive. So, fix your problems, Philly, but I think they fixed them because this is a big game versus Dallas Cowboys defense who has a very powerful front seven. Micah Parsons is a machine. He is a cyborg in himself. I could see a very low-scoring game in this contest as well, but I'm hoping that we're going to see, as the second half goes on, a little bit more open field plays. So A.J. Brown, low risk. Devontae Smith, low risk, because I think you're going to see at least enough PPR upside to get you those 10 points for both these individuals. You're going to have to see the hot reads a lot for Philly because the Dallas Cowboys are going to come with that rush a lot, man. Dallas Goedert, also low-risk play. You can't bench this man at this point. He's just hitting for you basically every single week. One of the best yak yard tight ends in the NFL. You got to love it. My buddy says that. Credit to you, Eric. That's on you, man. Best yak yard tight end in the NFL. No kidding, man. The Pittsburgh Steelers, let's say some prayers for these Pittsburgh Steelers right now. Good Lord almighty. I don't know. Anybody going to this game? Really? You guys want to see your team get absolutely dismantled by Tom Brady and the Buccaneers? You got nobody on defense, yo. I don't know what else to tell you. Kenny Pickett, I fear for your life, sir. You're a high-risk level play. I don't like anything of this offense. Najee Harris is a bench for me. I don't care what anybody says. I get where you drafted him. It sucks. You got him likely in the first round. I don't know what y'all thinking, man. It was Mitchell Trubisky, it was Kenny Pickett, and a poor offensive line, and you drafted Najee in the first round. I told y'all not to do it, but you didn't listen. Najee Harris, high risk. Put him on the bench until he improves. What else can I say? You can't trust it. It's killing your team every single week. He is definitely on the bench. Deontay Johnson and George Pickens are the only mid-level risk plays for me from this offense. There is no Pat Freiermuth. He is out with an injury as well. Pickens and Johnson basically can do it by themselves. If Pickett can find their decent location, they're likely going to come down with the ball, but I caution those starts as well. It's going to be an ugly, ugly day for these Pittsburgh Steelers. 2 weeks in a row after the Bills, completely hammered them. We're going to see Tom Brady do the same thing this week. Say a prayer for those Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm telling y'all, it's going to be ugly. San Francisco 49ers taking their talents to Atlanta. Atlanta's been good. They've competed, but this 49ers team is put together, man. Jimmy Garoppolo gets the first-time low-risk play for me in a very long time because I think he's going to be able to dissect this field. Yes, they're going to run the ball a lot. Jeff Wilson and Tevin Coleman both have start ability. I want to say you can play both these guys this week. Jeff Wilson obviously over Tevin Coleman. He gets a stud start. Jeff Wilson gets a stud start for me, which is going to be well over 15 points in my opinion. But Tevin Coleman could, vulture some touchdowns like he did last week and get you at least that 10-point threshold to get you a boom. Deebo Samuel, stud start. We got George Kittle, low risk, man. Brandon Ayuk, mid-level risk. I would basically fire up almost all of these 49ers, but we could see them, temper expectations on being highly explosive, run the ball, control the clock, get out of Atlanta with a win. That would really suck because I think that the Atlanta Falcons also trading Deion Jones. What the hell are y'all doing? I don't know what you're doing, but nevertheless, Deebo's going to eat, no kidding. Jeff Wilson's going to eat, and let's hope who gets some sprinkles. It's going to be mixed 50-50 between Ayuk and George Kittle, so they should be safe plays. Ayuk, I caution just a little bit over everybody else, but I got to see Ayuk finally hit one game that we can say it's another boom because he's killing us. Brandon Ayuk would be the least of my favorites out of all those players in San Fran that should eat against those Atlanta Falcons. The Seattle Seahawks, they're looking good on offense. Geno has got them moving. 4 boom games for Geno out of 5. What year is this again? I don't know. I don't know. He's looking good. Good for you, Geno. We got to love what you're doing, man. I like seeing underdogs win, and you're doing fabulous. If you're playing Geno, you're firing him up again this week, just like you did last week. Without even thinking about it, he's looking darn good on that field. Kenneth Walker III now with Rashad Penny on the IR with that broken leg. Tough break, man. Rashad Penny just can't stay healthy. We all knew eventually this was going to happen. Rashad Penny would find his way back into the medical room. Don't want to joke about it because, it's not a good look. But Kenny Walker III, fire him up this week against the Cardinals. They're going to run the ball, and they're going to run it a lot with a Kenneth Walker III. And you're going to see, you guys were excited about Vontae Williams. Get ready for a little Kenneth Walker because he is a little bit more explosive than Vontae, and he's going to showcase that. DJ Dallas is one guy to watch, not start. Just watch just in case he does flash some PPR upside as well. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, you're starting both these individuals. They have been eating, man. 59.2, 66.7 respectively for Metcalf and Lockett. They are both eating. I am shocked, but it is all coming from the Geno Smith arm and the cannon. He is finding ways to feed these individuals, and on the last 2 weeks, they are looking very good. 3 and 4 games, boom games for both these wide receivers, man, so you can definitely trust DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. Noah Fant, Will Disley, they're going to only see sprinkles if one of those wide receivers do get held up, and against the Cardinals defense secondary, I don't foresee a lot of tight coverage coming to these individuals, so we could maybe see a Will Disley touchdown, but again, very much a high-level risk. I got him at a mid-level risk this week just in case you're stuck at the tight end position and you need some help. But let's finish it off with this Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Fire them all up, man. It is a fire sale. We are saying start every single Tampa Bay Buccaneer that you possibly have. Tom Brady, stud start. We got Leonard Fournette, extremely low risk. You're firing him up. Mike Evans, stud start of the week for these Buccaneers. Russell Gage, fire him up. Chris Godwin, fire him up, man. I'm doing it all. I'm giving away dollars like I'm Oprah here, man. But Cameron Brate is the high risk. Rashad White is the high risk. However, Rashad White could be like we saw with James Cook. If this game gets out of hand extremely early like the Bills did and gave James Cook a touchdown, that's what could happen again for Rashad White. So if you're banking on garbage time productivity, I don't hate it, but it is definitely a high risk that you're going to, potentially be waiting for a high reward. It is not, something I would necessarily consider unless you're really hurt at the running back position. But all these wide receivers should be seeing a decent level of target share. Julio Jones is out, doubtful with a knee. So fire up all the wide receivers because they'll at least give you very good, decent productivity to support your fantasy team this week in week number 6. So there you have it. That is week number 6. Hopefully everybody follows the advice. Hopefully you get the wins. The point totals overall in fantasy have not been great this year, okay? We had to endure a lot of it. I think we're going to start seeing the tide turn just a little bit more, and you got to love that. But nevertheless, as always, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, jump in those comments, give me those start-sit questions. Don't be afraid. If you want to say hi, just say hi. I will say hi back, man. It helps us grow this channel, I'm telling y'all. But nevertheless, we'll see you next time. I am out.